Hi, everyone. I'm not going to get started just yet. I just turned on the stream a little early. I expect to get started in about 3 minutes, so I'm going to sit here and awkwardly uh, promote this thing on Twitter to get some people aware that it's happening. Hey, I have some viewers now. Um, so before I get started for real, I guess I'll talk about what this thing is that I'm doing. This is sort of a series that I've been loosely calling Tiny Subversions streams or what have you. Um, yeah, I just want to, every few weeks I spend an hour working on some weird code thing live in front of the internet. And then it goes on YouTube so people can watch later. And I think it's just um, part of showing people the creative process as I go through building these things, and it's just a chance to do something fun. I like I like showing this kind of stuff in action. Usually, when people watch this, they learn about new tools or workflows or things like that. So, um, so yeah, I called this session apples and bananas. I even brought props today. And I actually got the idea for the thing I want to build today earlier this week, but I thought it would be a good chance to a good thing to stream. Um, so this is all related to that Raffi song. I don't know if any of you grew up with Raffi. I did. His music was very important to me when I was, I don't know, 4 years old, 5 years old. I loved all his stuff. And my favorite Raffi song was the Apples and Bananas songs. Now, if you don't know about it, I'm going to actually switch to sharing my screen over here. So we will do this, and hopefully can. Hold on. Weirdly, the screen sharing didn't seem to work. Let me try this one more time. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's been doing this thing where it's showing me the wrong names for screens. Anyway, so this is a video of Raffi doing apples and bananas. I don't think I can actually pipe the audio through, so what I did was I pulled up the lyrics instead on here. They're very complex. The song is about 90 seconds long, 2 minutes long, as many Raffi songs are, and it goes like this. I'm going to sing it a little bit. He goes, "I like to eat apples and bananas," and that's the refrain. And then he starts changing up the vowels in the song, and so it goes, "I like to eat apples and bananas," and it's like I loved that as a kid. I loved playing with language back then. I love playing with language today. And I had this song in my head for one reason or another. I think because I've been eating a lot of apples and bananas recently, usually with peanut butter involved. And um, the so I just had this song in my head, and I was reminded of the fact that this is sort of like the kind of stuff that I build every day, where you're taking some phrase and then you're iterating on it and doing weird things to the language contained within. So I thought it would be fun to build maybe a bot that generates a sort of infinite number of these lyrics. And I'm not 100% sure what that will look like, but I do want to give it a shot. So I'm just going to check Twitter really quick and see if anybody is like screaming bloody murder that they can't see my screen, because that actually happened last week. And I'm just going to get started here. For those who don't know, I do all my development on a Chromebook, so this is why I have a Linux terminal open in a tab here. It's just running Ubuntu. I just installed actually, it's Oh My ZSH. Someone recommended it to me, and it's just this shell that comes with a lot of cool stuff already built into it. I used to use Bash, but some people recommended trying Oh My ZSH. So I'm currently in the process of trying it out right now. So that's why my shell might look a little bit different than it did last week. Let's see. Okay. So I always start with one of my project templates. So I use this program called Grunt, Grunt CLI. Grunt is a JavaScript task runner. And you don't have to know exactly what it is, but it also comes with this thing called Grunt init, which accepts templates. I actually have a few different templates on here that I've created for myself. And if I do Grunt init TwitterBot, this is actually keyed to a newer version of this. I use this most of the time, but I updated it recently. So it's going to ask a bunch of questions. Are you going to do any screen scraping? That's when you pretend to be a web browser and you grab HTML from a page. I'm going to say no. Are you going to make HTTP requests? Not for this project, actually. Project name, sure, apples. We'll call the project Infinite Apples and Bananas. And the description will be infinite apples and bananas. Version is fine. Bunch of GitHub related stuff. Author URL, I'll leave blank. Okay, so this new template runs on a newer version of Node.js than what I was using a couple weeks ago. Node just is JavaScript on the server, so it's like the JavaScript that runs in a web browser, but it's happening in a server environment instead. So it's like Python or that sort of thing, where you just do it all with text files in the command line. Version 4 came out recently, and I'm just going to put junk in for my Twitter keys here. And version 4 supports what's known as ES6 syntax. It's this hot new JavaScript syntax that has been sort of slowly rolling out across different platforms for a long time. And so I wanted to start playing with ES6 syntax a little bit. And I'll show you some new syntax when we go in here. But first of all, so what I just did there was I answered some questions, and it created a bunch of files in a directory for me. So I don't have to make any of these files myself. But I can edit them. So I'm going to edit index, which is where all of my code will actually live. And it's already written a whole bunch of code for us. Some of this we're not going to need, though. Right now I'm going to delete this whole function here, search. I'm just going to kill it because I'm not going to be searching Twitter for this project. I'm also going to kill that interval because I'm not going to need that. I have it set to sort of tweet every X number of minutes, and I don't want to do that for the purposes of this particular stream. So we'll do a brief look at this, pretty brief because it's similar to what I did last week. We've got our requires all up here. That's just external code that we're using. So we have our Twitter library, we have underscore, which is a helper library for JavaScript. Word filter is my language filtering module, so it's got a bunch of basically bad words already put in it, so that my bot's not going to like say the N-word or anything like that. Ent is for decoding HTML entities, and then Rita is what we're going to be playing with most of the time here. I used Rita a couple of weeks ago on here, and I'll get back to what Rita is in a second. I have a couple of functions here. I have a couple functions here, array.prototype.pick and array.prototype.pick_remove. These just add, make it so that I can, if I've got an array of objects 1, 2, 3, I can do .pick at the end, and that'll resolve to 1 or 2 or 3 with sort of an equal probability between all 3 of those. And then pick remove does the same thing, except it also removes it. So if I run pick remove on 1, 2, 3 and it picks 1, then the array is going to be smaller now, and it's just going to have 2 and 3 in it. We've got an empty generate function here. It's wrapped in a promise. So I used to use _.deferred, but now I'm using ES6 promises. I'm not going to go into what promises are here, but basically it's a way to sort of chain together a whole bunch of logic and do it in an asynchronous way. Again, I won't get too much into that technique because that's not what this is about. But it's just resolving the text hi here. So if I run generate, it'll just immediately return hi. And then the tweet function, it runs generate, and then it says then. That's a promise thing. And then my tweet is a variable that gets passed to this function here. This arrow here, again, that's an ES6 thing. This is actually completely functionally equivalent to this, which if you've seen JavaScript before, you're probably very familiar with this, but not so much with that. It's just basically just a little cleaner and nicer than having to type out the word function. So it grabs the text of the tweet, which in this case is hi. It runs it through the blacklist. If the word hi is blacklisted, then it won't print it out to the console, but it isn't blacklisted. And then actually running the program just runs this tweet function. So I'm going to open up a new, window, and I'm just going to run this. Right, I have to install my dependencies because the template doesn't do that. I'm using npm, which is Node.js's package manager. Okay, and now if I run this, okay, it loads up Rita and it says hi. Great. That's good. So we want to do something with language, apples and bananas, and we're going to use this Rita thing. Rita, here's the homepage for Rita, it says it's a software toolkit for computational literature. The way I like to put it is Rita so most natural language software out there is meant for analysis. It's meant for doing academic analysis of large bodies of text. Rita is built for some analysis, but actually it's designed for generating text, which is why it's really helpful to us. So I'm going to just pull up the reference here. We're going to be coming back to this a lot. And I'll just show you a quick example of what Rita can do. So we have, I guess I'll close the video out. So we have this text here. I like to eat apples and bananas. So we should probably just start with that. So I'm going to go down to the generate function here, and we're going to var result equals. I'll change it like this. We're just going to make the result hi, and we're going to resolve the result. So if I run this, it should still do the same thing, which it does. And what we're going to do now is we're actually just going to make it, I like to eat apples and bananas. Okay, so it's doing that. That's good. But we can use Rita to to learn things about this. So we can do, for example, R. I've mapped Rita to the variable R up above over here on this line. So we can do R dot get. Let's do get syllables. R dot get syllables. Someone's pinging me on Slack. I just want to make sure. Oh, okay. Someone's telling me this is good. Sometimes when people ping me on Slack, it's because things aren't working. Result, and we're just going to log that result. So I'm asking Rita to tell me what it knows about the syllables of this long sentence there. So we're going to, hey, okay. So that's I, that's AY, like, to eat apples and bananas. Okay, cool. So it's clearly able to parse out this sentence. So if we go back to the source text here, I like to eat apples and bananas. At first you might think, so there are actually more traditional versions of this song. Raffi didn't write this song. This song is older than Raffi. Raffi just popularized it, and I would argue made it better. Because if you hear the original traditional versions of the song, what they would do is they would change every vowel after I like to the one you're playing with. So instead of I like to oat, opals, and bononos, it's like, oh, it's the whole thing. So it's like luke to oot, opals, and bononos. Like it just doesn't scan. It's not good. What Raffi's doing here is he's changing the E, the opening E in eat, and then he's changing. So apples and bananas, right? We got multiple vowels in here, but they both have A's, and it's the A's that changed. But it's not even all the A's, right? So the A in apples changes, and then the last two A's in bananas change, but the first A doesn't. Apples and banana. It's weird, and it's not even consistent. It's one of those genius things, right? That just Raffi just decided to do. So I don't think we can. I don't know if we can really work with that, but what we can do is we can take A sounds and replace them with other vowels. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here and we're just going to look at this. So first of all, I guess we can do the easy part, right? The easy part is change the eats to oats and oots, right? So let's go back to our code. And, well, let's go back to this output, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. So it outputs a whole string, and it breaks it up into all these different things. So let's actually, instead of logging the result there, we're going to do a split on that string, and we're going to split it on space. And then we're going to, let's save this as syllables, and then we'll log out syllables. Okay, and so now we have this array. We've split it on the space, and now we have this array of all the different words, and indeed a couple of commas too. So what we could do to start with is just we could just go through this whole list of words, and we could just find this IY-T and replace it. But we could do it even easier than that, right? Because we have this thing we're starting out with right here. So let's go to result equals result dot, and we're going to do a replace. And what replace does is it, I'll just show you. So if I have a string foo equals eat apples, then I can do foo dot replace eat and replace it with 8. And then now it goes eat apples. But we want all the eats. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do it with a regular expression. If I just do eat and I put it in a regular expression between two dashes or two slashes like that, it does the same thing. But if I put G stands for greedy. It's going to be greedy, and it's going to find every version of eat and replace it. And so now it says ate apples. So we're going to, oops, opened up an extra window. So we're going to do a greedy replace on eat. And we're going to, for now, let's just replace it with 8. We're just going to, like I always like to start with the simplest possible thing we can do. So let's just do one vowel sound at a time. So if I run this, what we get at the bottom is I like to eat apples and bananas. Okay, that's cool. But now we have this, we have this other thing too. We want to be able to figure out which vowel sounds we want to replace. And that's a little tough. We could start just by replacing letter A's. Let's just do that, right? We could go by pronunciation, but Raffi isn't even consistent about pronunciation. So let's just replace letter A's. So we're not even using Rita yet, but we will shortly, I think. So I'm just going to chain this. I'm going to do another replace. So let's make our code a little bit nicer. Let's see. I'm going to, yeah, we'll do it like that. We're going to look for the letter A, and we're going to replace it with AY, right? And we're going to make that greedy because we want it to replace everyone. Now I know ahead of time this is not going to work, but we'll see why. So I like to, all right, so it's messed up our eats because those actually had a letter A in them. And then it also got the and here, right? But we did get apples and bananas. Okay, that's pretty good. That's all right. So how do we fix this, right? How do we make this only apply to these words at the end? Well, I think one thing that we could do is instead of just doing a plain string here, we could make it into a template. Now, normally in JavaScript, in old JavaScript, if I wanted to templatize this result here, I could call it, I could make fruit1 equals apples and fruit2 equals bananas. And then normally what I would do is something like this. I would say eat plus apples, and then another quote, and then a quote, and then a plus, and then bananas, and get rid of the quote like that. And I had to be careful because it's really easy to mess that up. So now if I go back here, it should be the same. Oops, apples is not defined. Oh, right, because I did. All right, let's make this better. Apples, bananas. There we go. So this is like the same thing that we had before, but if I change this to goats and ran it again, then hey, there's our goats. Okay. But what we could do instead, because this is new JavaScript, is the following. We're going to turn this into a template string. So instead of using a quote to demarcate our string, we're going to do a backtick. It's that thing above the tab key on the left. And then inside this backtick, we can do this. Oops. Apples and bananas. And this is just it's a lot less error prone to type it out this way, and it also just reads easier. There's not all those weird pluses, and you can tell if you forgot very often I would forget spaces and I would end up with something like that. This way I can instantly know if I have all the spaces I need and everything. So I'll run this, and again, this should be the same as we had before. Yeah, apples and bananas. Okay. So now we actually understand something about this sentence. This is actually a structured thing. So what we can do is we could in fact we could make it even more interesting, and we could put eat as a variable too. Let's do that. So eat, right? Eat, eat, eat. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that still works. We're still getting the same result, which is good. So now we can do instead of using all this greedy stuff here, what we can do is just change the values of the individual words instead. This way we're being a lot more, I guess, efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to make eat equals eat.replace, and then actually we don't even need to do replace anymore because we're not searching. It's just going to, excuse me for a second here, we're just going to change eat to 8, right? And then for the apples and bananas, so if I do this, we've got 8, 8, 8 apples and bananas. And then I can do the same thing as I did before. Apples equals apples dot replace, and we'll replace the A, greedy, like that. And then we'll do the same thing with bananas here. Hey, all right, that's cool. But now we're doing the same thing twice here, so what we really want to do is abstract this out a little bit. And so what we can do instead is create a function. Actually, we'll do a prototype function. So we're going to go string.prototype. No, let's not do that. That's too complicated for the purposes of this screencast. We'll just do a regular old function. We're going to call mutate is going to be the name of this function, and it's going to take a fruit in, and it's going to return the result, and in this case the result is fruit.replace, and we're just going to replace the letter A, greedy, with AY. And now apples equals mutate apples, bananas equals mutate bananas. So this way, if I can just change my code in one place, and apples and bananas will all be changed the same. So now if I change the rule here and I just change it to E, hey, equals and bananas. Okay, cool. Although that didn't fix 8 here, but that's fine. I was just demonstrating the change there. All right, so we've got that working. Let's get eat working in here as well. So what we should actually probably do here is mutate could take in a modifier, maybe, right? That's like our sound. Let's just call it mod. And then, yeah. And then the next thing we can do, yeah. So then we have a modifier. That's going to be our sound we're playing with. And so then eat just becomes the modifier plus T. Right, and then I want to replace this with the modifier rather than A, Y. So if I change this to oo, I like to oot, 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 undefined pulls and undefined, undefined, undefines. All right, this is a lovely thing about JavaScript where this is one of those weird like JavaScript sucks kind of moments. So if I have a variable called foo and it's hello, so okay, foo is hello, and then if I have a variable called name and it's Darius, and then I do foo plus name, it's hello Darius. Okay, that's cool. But if name for whatever reason becomes like some weird value, like infinity, then it will cast it to hello infinity. In this case, it's ending up as just plain old undefined, and so that's getting it's being cast, it's being coerced to a string. So that's what's happening here, and that's kind of annoying. What it means is that our result is returning undefined for some reason. And the reason is we forgot to pass the, oops, sorry. Okay, the reason is we forgot to pass the modifier here. So this should fix it. Hey, I like to oot, 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 ooples, and boonoo-noos. Boo-noo-noos, actually. Okay, that's cool. So now let's make an array of different modifiers, right? And we'll just make this sing the song to start with. We're going to do something a little bit more interesting in a second, but I think for the first half hour, just getting it to sing the song or write out the song is good. So we're going to call this mods, and this is going to be an array of its own, and we're going to have 8, and we're going to have eat, and we're going to have ite. How would I spell that? Ite, sure. And oat and oot. That's how I choose to spell these. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use underscore here. Actually, no. Let's be all ES6 about it. We're going to use the new JavaScript hot stuff, even though it's been in here for a long time. And what we're going to do is we're going to put all this stuff down together here, and we're going to put this in a function. Well, no. So we're going to do mods dot for each. So I'm just going to go into for each here for just a second. I'll open up Node. And so if I have an array, 1, 2, 3, I can do array dot for each. And then I can put a function in here. Normally I would do it something like this, and then I could say print out yay, and then, excuse me, there's going to be some kind of element here. I think this is the syntax. I always have to look this up. Yeah, yay 1, or actually that doesn't help at all. Well, it does, kind of. Okay. So it's just going through each one of those things and just doing it each time. It says, let's see, it grabs 1, it puts 1 in the value of L here, and then it does the thing with L in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do mods.forEach, and instead of doing function L, we're going to do that ES6 syntax with the L and the arrow key right here. And then I'm just going to drop this in here. And then we're actually just going to I'm just going to copy this for a second. We're just going to see what that does. Oops, mod's not defined. Okay. Oh, right. Mod is not defined because our mod is now, I'm just going to replace mod with L there. Okay, so it's kind of working. Hold on, our eats are working correctly, but our mutation here is not working for some reason. That's interesting. First of all, I'm going to change L to mod here, just so that we are consistent. So why wouldn't apples and bananas be changing, but why would eat be changing correctly? Well, let's take another look here. It works the first time, and it works the second time, but it doesn't work the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth times. Okay, that's interesting. Let's just print out our mod is mod. Okay, that's good. Let's just we're just going to do these little checks here, you know. Quick check for apples. Let's just see what that value is. Quick check, equals, equals, equals. That's very interesting. Oh, you know what? This might fix it. That did not fix it. Okay. Mod for each mod. And here's the fun debugging part, right? We are passing. Oh, because we're passing in apples that we've already modded. We've already gotten rid of a letter A from apples, which is not what we want. So I'm going to create like a master apples and a master bananas here. Those are like the canonical apples and bananas and eat here. Actually, we don't need to do it to eat. And I'm just going to give them capital letters to denote that they are sort of immutable. So I can delete all those logs. So then what we want to do is that. And the last thing we want to do here is I want to set the lowercase to be equal to those as well. And so now if we run it, there we go. Now it's working as expected. I like to oat opals and bo no nos. All right, so that's cool. But let's do this. I think we can do something a little bit more interesting. Let's introduce new fruits, maybe, or new verbs, right? So how would we do that? Well, Rita has, okay, I think I can kill the Raffi reference there. Sorry, Raffi. Rita has a bunch of functions for getting random words, as we've seen on this stream before. I'm going to load this up here. Random word, I can actually get a random part of speech and a syllable count, which is awesome. So I could get verbs that are one syllable, and I could replace eat with that verb. So let's see what this looks like, right? So it is, there's this random word function in the RI lexicon class. So it's lexicon.randomWord. So console.log lexicon.randomWord. Is it random word just all lowercase? No, it's camel cased. Lexicon.randomWord. So the part of speech, I think VB is the part of speech. I always have to look this up. It's in the POS tags function here. It's the one of the things that's a little hard to find in the documentation. It's the pen tag set, and verbs are VB is the verb, is the base form of the verb. So we're going to go back here and we're going to ask for a one-syllable verb, and we're going to print that out. And we're going to print like a bunch of these and just see what it gives us. Rest, prop, weigh, bilk, royal, bide, sneak. Okay, that's cool. So let's so we could do something where we just var eat equals, doesn't equal eat anymore, it just equals lexicon.random word. And then we're actually going to mutate eat here, because eat could now be eat, it could be rest, it could be royal. So, how are we going to make this work? Because it could be any number of things, right? We had bilk, sneak. So what are we going to do here? Well, we could just find the vowels in the one-syllable word and just replace it, like any string of vowels in the one-syllable word, and just replace it with the modifier. So let's try that. So I'm going to go back here, and we're just going to play around in a console for a second. And so let's do our word eat is, let's try sneak, right? Because that has two vowels in a row. So we can use a regular expression here. We can do eat dot replace, and then we can just give it, we can just say, look, you're going to be looking for any vowels there. And this is going to be greedy, and you're going to replace it with like ooh, for example. All right, but the problem is that grabs the E as one vowel and the A as another vowel. So what we actually want to do is find a group. So we're actually going to find these capture groups, and we're just going to say, actually, let's just put a plus here. We're just going to find a string of one or more vowels and replace it with ooh. Hey, there we go. Now we have snook instead of sneak. If I did bean pick, it's not really a verb, but if I did bean pick, it would give us boonpook. So this is good code we want to work with here. And so eat becomes eat dot replace, and we just put that little function in there. And now we run this, and I like to, so it gave us bilk, bulk, apples. Let's have it print out the original, since that's how the song starts as well. So oh, right, fly doesn't work because it doesn't have a vowel. I mean, it has a Y, which is a weird one. That's okay, we can just skip that for now. Fold becomes fooled. Stem becomes stoom. Chew becomes chew. Gloat becomes glute. Okay, so that's cool. This is like, that's mostly working. But of course, what we'll do is, instead of replacing it with ooh, we'll replace it with mod here. There we go. So now it's like, I like to sap apples and bananas. I like to seep apples and bananas. I like to sape apples and bananas. So that's cool. I like that. What if we got random fruits or nouns or things too? Let's just do, let's just get random nouns to start with. So nouns are, NN is a noun singular, NNS is a plural noun. So we want to get some random plural nouns here. So instead of apples and bananas, it will be lexicon.randomWord NNS and then 2 syllables. And then 3 syllables for bananas. Yeah, 3 syllables for bananas. Let's see what this does. I like to pose seizures and outsiders. Wow. Oh, but pose has so see, this is interesting. Pose has more than 2 strings of vowels, even though it's not there's not a vowel sound on the end. Fortunately, we have. Remember, I showed you that syllable thing earlier. Let's. I'm going to go into. I'm going to make a little test file here real quick. We're going to. I'm going to copy index, and I'm just going to call it test tech. Wow. Forgive me. Test. Okay, and we're going to go into test, and I'm just going to delete everything in here. And in fact, I'm just going to not even run the tweet function. In fact, we're just going to delete a whole bunch of this stuff. It's all noise at this point anyway. And what we're going to do, let me close out this window then. I'm going to open up test here. And what we're going to do is we're going to just see, again, just take a look at this syllable thing. So r.get syllables pose, right? We're going to see how it understands the word pose. Okay, so Tully just pointed out, Tully Hansen, everyone just pointed out that there's extra Y's happening here too, which is weird as well. We'll look into that later. Anyway, so if I run, I didn't print anything out, so we're going to log that output. Not for that, we want the test. Okay, pose, right? So it understands that there's no vowel on the end there. So it's got that O's sound. So what we can do is we can actually go back here, and if we look at get syllables, it will tell us, okay, maybe it's under phonemes instead. Here we go. So we have a list of phonemes here. And so phonemes are like individual pronunciations for things, and we can actually like look through here and get all of the vowel sounds. Now there's a whole bunch of these. Fortunately, the way that this phoneme alphabet, the alphabet, is done is if a phoneme begins with A, E, I, O, or U, then it is a vowel sound. So all we need to do is split up the word into phonemes, find the phonemes that match vowel sounds, and then do things with them. Or we could just not bother. Like we could just say screw it and not bother. Let's try saying screw it and not bother for now. But that's how we would solve that problem, because we're running a little short on time here. We've got about 15 minutes left, and I'd like to get to some of these. So we've got this extra letter Y coming in here. Cleanse, clean. Like, so AY is correct there, but it's like why is it EEY? Why is it? And I bet the answer is right, because we're changing eat again here. So what we actually want to do is the same thing we did up there. Eat equals eat equals that. And then this becomes the big eat. And now we're not going to be overwriting ourselves anymore. So I like to quench levels and partisans. So partisans doesn't really scan the way we want it to, right? Because bananas is bananas, and partisans is partisans. So it's a 100 versus a 010. Fortunately, we understand things about number of syllables, about meter of words in Rita as well. We can learn about that through get stresses, I think. Yes, so if we do, I'll go and open up test here again. So let's do get stresses instead, and we'll do bananas and we'll do partisans, right? We'll just compare the two. Yeah, so bananas is 010 and partisans is 100. So what we want is actually 010 stress 3-syllable words. So the way we can do this, there is a way we can do this. I've done it before for the sorting hat bot that I made. What we'll do is we'll make a function called get 010 noun. Get noun 010. I like that better. And it's going to take nothing in, but it's going to return a noun. And the way this is going to work is var noun equals lexicon dot random word nns3. So the same thing that we're doing there, but then we're going to get its stresses. So var stresses equals noun dot get stresses. Sorry, r dot get stresses noun. And then what we can do is we can say if stresses equals 010, then we return noun. Otherwise, we just get a new noun. This isn't super efficient, but we're just going to, I think this should work. If not, I'll have to go look at my sorting hat code to remember how I did it. Tornadoes, yeah, bananas, tornadoes. Undefined. Great. Nope. Interesting. Okay. Well, fortunately, I have the sorting hat code right here. And get word, right, I did a get function, get word. Here we go. Oh, right. So I either return the noun if it matches, or I return the function. I have to actually evaluate the function so that it will, and return that. So return get noun 010. So the reason it worked the first time was it just happened to work on the first try, but now it's going to try again and again. Blossoms and oases, tables and pollutants, ridges and employees, hunters and survivors. Great. Yeah. So now, now what we can do is actually go through here and mutate this correctly. And so we're going to do the same replacement here. Actually, what we're going to do is we are just going to do this replacement on here. So I'm just going to clip that and change this to mutate eat. mod. Yeah, let's see what that does. Okay, this is that's another case of there's like a, it's ending in a vowel, so we don't want that, but wow, panties and compresses. Okay, let's see. Phosphors and conditions. I like to ride phosphors and it ends in a so here's one thing we could do. Let's just throw out our single we're going to use this same hack here, but instead of get noun, we're going to do get verb no vowel. And then we're just going to look for verbs that don't have a vowel on the end. And so we are going to get a verb, and it's going to be like that. And it's going to be one syllable, and we don't care about the stresses anymore, but we do care about the vowel is going to be the last letter of the verb. So if verb equals note, then it would be note. We would actually want to look at note. So if I did like note sub 0, I would, verb sub 0, I would get n. Verb sub 1, I would get 0. So what I actually want to do is verb dot length -1. That would just give me the last letter right there. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go verb dot length -1. There's other ways to do this too. I could use the substring function or whatever, but this works just fine. And then I'm going to say if vowel equals a, or, and this is where it's just going to get janky and silly, but it's fine. I'm going to put a y there too. So if the verb ends in any one of these letters, we actually get verb no. We actually just try again. Otherwise, it doesn't end in that, and it's all good, and we return the verb. And so we're going to go here, and this is going to become get verb no vowel. And we're going to run this. I like to cheat, biscuits and expenses. 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 There we go. And so now it's doing sort of unending quash, diners and endorsements, bend, chauffeurs and synthetics, and so on and so forth. So that worked. We did it. In 55 minutes we made a little thing that that does all that stuff. I'll very quickly just get this posting to Twitter right now, actually. So I have a Twitter bot called Check Mike Check. It is a private account. I tested this Portland-based account that I did yesterday. It's called Wow So Portland, and it just tweets street view from around industrial parts of Portland with like some caption about how Portlanders are super wacky. So you can see that being tested over here. And you can follow Check Mike Check if you're interested. I may or may not allow you to follow it. It's a private account for a reason. There's a lot of like awful bugs that happen there. But what I can do is I'm not gonna show my credentials for this account on this stream, obviously, but it's in this configuration file that I'm just going to copy right to my directory here. And so now it's just living in that config.js. And so if I go back here and just uncomment this tweeting code, and then if I want to resolve what the tweet text is actually going to be. So right now the text is just it'll just be whatever the last iteration was. So we'll run this one right now, and we'll just see what that does. So that's Twitter responding with all of its text about things. Now if I go here to the bot, it should, yeah, I like to boog, 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 suit books, and kumusuns. So I think what we should do is, because we probably won't have room for the whole song in a tweet, but maybe we can get like one or two, like the original line and then like a messed up version of the line. And so what we could actually do is, instead of going through each one of these, what we'll do is we'll just say, so instead of going through each one, we're instead just going to set mod, and mod is going to become mods.pick. Remember that pick function I talked about at the beginning of the stream here. So so we have, so now this is just going to pick A, E, I, O, or U to be our mod, and we're just going to run these. So this one is going to become modified. And yeah, so then that's modified and result. So our actual tweet, is going to become result. I mean, result is, we shouldn't call it result anymore. We should call it original. So it's going to be original and then a line break. And I think on Twitter, a line break is /r/n. And I always have to look that up, but I've done it recently, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then we're going to put modified underneath it. And let's actually put 2 line breaks here. And then we're going to resolve that as our tweet. And we're going to run this. And we're going to take a look. There it is. Oh, no. It did the same thing twice. I must have made a really simple mistake there. Original. Oh, right. Modified original is now going to be with the capital letter versions of the originals right there. And so now if I run that, there we go. I like to shoot tunnels and descendants. I like to shade tunnels and descendants. Hey, cool. We'll do it again. It did not. Did it post? No, it didn't post. There we go. Oh, it didn't post because it found a bad word. Which is good. It means it's working. I like to shun forces and importers. I like to shane faces and aim paters. Okay, yeah, it's not very legible, but there it is. So yeah, we did it. We made a apples and bananas Raffi generation thing. So yeah, I don't know how you're gonna celebrate, but I'm gonna celebrate by eating an apple and a banana. I think that's how I'm going to do this. So thanks very much for watching this stream. It's all going to be on YouTube very shortly, and I will tweet out the link, and keep an eye out for the next time I do one of these streams. It should be fun. Also, I think I'm actually going to turn this into a real bot. It'll go online maybe later today or this weekend or something. Once again, thanks for spending an hour of your weekend with me, and I hope to see you next time.